What's good, party people? This is Voodoo in the Woods with former UF MMA champion Pius Inilaloba, but you know him as Voodoo Maximus. I'm According to Woods. And this Saturday night, right, in addition to what we're actually seeing right now with Bellator, we actually have a UFC fight night. Thiago Santos against Glover Teixeira, and we're going to get into all things that fight. Voodoo Maximus, how are you, my man?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Good, man. It's a kind of a like a weird time right now. Everybody's kind of waiting on something and all that jazz. So, like, I'm so glad that we can just kind of like sidestep all that bullshit, and you're like, yo, we're gonna be successful with this damn fight card.
That's right. Hit him with the Heisman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Damn right.
I'm looking forward to seeing Glover Teixeira, even though he's 42 or so. Get in there and do what he does best, man. But we'll break that down when we get to that.
Yeah, what is it? We came to dance, Mama, so we'll get to that. So,
That's
for
right.
sure. But I mean,
That's
your
right.
week, obviously, with all of the nuttiness going on in all things places, your week has been good.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. I try and keep it like Jim Kelly told me in Enter the Dragon. Remember that?
Dang right,
He said,
damn
"Man,
right.
I don't." Hey, he said, "Man, I don't waste my time with it. When it comes, I won't even notice." And the bad guy said, "Oh yeah, why is that?" He was like, "Cause I'll be too busy looking good."
Damn right. Hell yeah, and I've got the face for radio, but I mean Voodoo Maximus over there at Castle Maximus looks absolutely impeccable. So with that sweet Peterson grappling neon shirt, so always repping the fam. Now,
That's right, man.
obviously,
Straight up.
you got to. Now, I mean, my goodness. So I mean, we're getting into the card. This is actually a fun one, right? Because we actually see, right, Gustavo Lopez, who got the short notice call, a former Combate Americas champion. He got a short notice call to the UFC, even in a loss to the. I guess he was a Eastern European gentleman, right?
Mhm.
He ended
Mhm.
up tornado DDTing him, and I
Mhm.
captured that damn thing and I sent it to Chavo Guerrero Jr., the inventor of all things Tornado DDT in WCW, and he was like, "Yes, I'm proud. I'm proud of Gustavo Lopez." Right? We Now we got that Gustavo Lopez against the returning out of 10th Planet Tucson, Anthony Bergeron. He's literally traveled the world since his last time that we saw him in the UFC. Fought overseas and everywhere, competed in all forms of high level jiu-jitsu competition, literally the nation and the world over.
Mhm.
And he's back. He is
Mhm.
back.
Indeed, he is back. Indeed, he is back. This one is going to make for a very, very, very interesting fight. Um, Anthony is on the what? One, two, three, four, five, six fight win streak. He's hot right
Mhm.
now, man. He's hot, firing on all cylinders. And like you said, he's been traveling the world, getting that experience, seeing all type of styles out there. So now when he comes back to the United States, someone like his opponent is something that he's seen before.
Yeah, and it's crazy, right? So I mean, we
Indeed.
this is almost like an interpersonal. I mean, like an interpromotional rivalry, right? This is like every grappling kind of competition that you've seen, like the elite ones, like an EBI or a fight to win, right? Against Combate Americas
Hmm.
happening in the UFC. This is like
Hmm.
Taz going up against Triple H as the ECW champion on WWF SmackDown, the reigning ECW champion versus the reigning WWF champion. Like that is this fight, and it's opening the
Yes.
card. Holy hell.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, this is a win for Gustavo Lopez. You know what I'm saying? Coming from this area and all that, he's gonna be going in there, looking forward to making a name for himself. This is his goal. He's finally reaching goal number one, and goal number one is to make it to the UFC. And this is what all the fighters strive for, no matter what promotion they're fighting in. They all would rather be in the UFC, and that's a fact. It just so happens that circumstance puts them where they're at, and they've accepted that, and they're still striving for the UFC, believe it or not.
Yeah,
However, Gustavo, he's gotten another chance to put his name on the wall, make it let his name be remembered, and I'm looking forward to a phenomenal fight. This could possibly be fight of the night between these two.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. So, I mean, Voodoo Maximus, how does this thing go?
Whew, man, this is gonna be a tough one. Whoever wins it is gonna win it by split decision, because what we have here is two young fellas that are going to try as best as possible to embody dynamic striking. I've seen both of them. I see how they throw kicks, they throw knees, they throw hands. This is what you're looking for in the future of the sport, and these two young men have that. I've noticed also Dana White, even the one from yesterday, Dana White looking for a fighter or whatever. What do you call
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Contender,
contender series.
contender,
Yeah.
contender. So two front kicks to the face. Dana has taken notice of the next level. The next level are dynamic strikers. Trust me when I tell you this. Look closely at the people that are winning and watch how they're winning. They're doing things that you see in Jackie Chan movies. This is what makes them a dynamic striker. These two young men, Anthony Burchak and
Yeah.
Gustavo Lopez, will bring that to you. They will bring that to you. So please get there on time, stay tuned, and wait for this one to take place. It's going to be magical. It's going to be magical. You might see some grappling too. They're both well versed. I mean, Anthony, he's a 10th planet jiu-jitsu fella. So if he
Hmm.
goes to the ground, understand it's gonna be glass, like they said in that movie. Gustavo Lopez, he's been there too. This is what he does. So either way, standing or on the ground, we are getting ready to be entertained. And you say, who am I picking? I gotta go with the
Yeah.
hometown hero, Gustavo Lopez, all day, every day. This one right here, even if Anthony is the better on paper, I still got to go with Gustavo Lopez. You know what I'm saying? I'm going with Gustavo Lopez on this one.
I love it. No, I love it. I too think it's actually going to happen the exact same way. And just so it's because it's so evenly matched, I'm actually going to say Anthony Burchank split decision. Because again, it could go either way, and I think it would be fair. But I mean, proud of
Hmm.
both of these guys. Been able to see Gustavo Lopez come. At Combate America shows here in LA and other places, ended up getting himself a championship in that promotion, and that's what I love, right? Or when people from other promotions, right, other champions come into the UFC. Actually, there was a literal season of the Ultimate Fighter where we had champions from all other organizations, and that filled up the season. And that's the shit I like, because again, it's a commitment to saying that yes, this promotion recognizes this person as champion, but that just because it's not in the
Hmm.
UFC doesn't mean that they're not one of the top talents in the world. And that's what we're saying here.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I love
Hmm.
this for so many reasons. I love uh,
Hmm.
the stride that both men have made. We talked about Anthony Burchank being at 10 Planet Tucson. I believe he co-owns the gym with his wife Mercedes. And have literally built up a cool kind of community within that organization. I mean, heck, Nash to T-Rim, right, where I get all my memes from, right? He's out of 10 Planet Tucson. So again, not just in fight life, but also in meme life. 10 Planet Tucson is putting it down, but also, like Gustavo Lopez training with, Extreme Couture, and, there's a litany of fighters. I mean, his former teammate was Misha Tate, and, Tom Lawler. And so it's just cool. These two guys at the time, and with the amount of experience that they had in cages and rings across not just the US but across the world, it's awesome to think that these guys are still in like their early 30s. Like they're not old in the tooth by a long shot. So this is a great fight for fight fans. I love what it means for both of them in their careers, and this is actually a perfect fight for both of them in their careers. So I can't wait to see it. Yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Burjank. You go with Lopez, and we'll see what happens.
That's right. That's right. Let's do it.
So next up, we have Max Payne Griffin sporting a 5-8 record, the number 56 welterweight in the world, and he goes against Ramiz Bah Mirage. Yeah, Bahar Mirage. There we go. There we go. Who's 8-2, the number 8 welterweight in the U.S. In the Southwest portion of the U.S. And Voodoo, how is this going down?
First of all, uh, Ramiz Brahima, I've never seen before. I've never heard of before. So I'm taking a quick look at his thing here. He's only had two losses. Lost to a Evan Cutts, whom I don't know. He lost to a Justin Patterson, whom I don't know, but he has fought in LFA, and you know LFA is known to have very, very good selections. You know what I'm saying? But he won his fight against Carlos Martinez, arm triangle. So he's got
Yeah,
some grappling game going on there. Okay. He's got some guillotine chokes. He's got some rear naked guillotine. Wow, he likes to take the back.
yeah.
Well, actually, Kimura too. Look at that. Rear naked. All right, okay. Now he's going against Max Griffin. Max Griffin is a UFC veteran. He's been in there with some of the best in the world. You know what I mean? He's got a 47% knockout ratio, 40% decision ratio. He's got a 13% submission ratio. So he himself is well versed in what we call mixed martial art. But the thing now is Max Griffin. Based on his experience, I just have to go with Max Griffin. Max Griffin has been in the UFC for quite some time. He's got grappling. He's got knockouts, and he's got more experience. That's just pretty much it. Max Griffin, easy too. I believe this one's gonna be easy for Max Griffin. Max Griffin wins this possibly by KO in a second.
And that's one thing that Max does bring the pain, right? That's one thing that he does absolutely do, right? And KOs is not some it's something that he's synonymous with in his career. But I'm actually going to go the other way and go with our LFA veteran, Ramiz. Yeah, because I like submission. Obviously, Max Griffin has accomplished a litany of things in his career, especially in the UFC, but he's also coming off of two straight losses. Now, obviously, the losses were some pretty, I would say, notables, right? For at least from the hardcore, right? In Alex Oliveira, right? The Brazilian cowboy, right? So,
Hmm.
or is that so? There's the no Charles Oliveira is the Brazilian cowboy. This one is Du Bronx. So Du Bronx cowboy. Du Bronx Oliveira is the one who
Yeah,
Max
you're
Griffin lost to.
yeah, you're right. Charles Oliveira, he is the cowboy. Alex Oliveira, not Charles. Alex. Yeah, he is the one you were talking about. You're
Yeah,
correct.
right. So Du Bronx, that is a good one, but he also has his loss. He has a loss over our friend um, Curtis Melander, right? He
Hmm.
beat Mike
Hmm.
Perry. There.
Hmm.
So I actually think that Rami is actually, I want to say, second round submission is what happens here.
Hmm. I mean, it's not that uh the opponent is not worthy. It just so happens that everyone, 99% of the time, they always feel that first fight. You know that the nerves get to the way usually when they come in. It's very rare that you see someone come into the UFC and not have nerves and they fight like they were already there. But for the most part, this is gonna play a role in this particular matchup. And being that Max Griffin has been there, he's done that. He already knows what to expect. His mind will be calmer, and this is gonna give him his edge.
And that's it. Edges in the sport of mixed martial arts, whether it be a physical advantage, a mindset, a technique, or and how you use that technique. That's it. It's a game of inches in many respects. So that could absolutely be. But one thing that we both can agree on, regardless of how it happens, but this, I mean, if this goes to a decision, I will be very surprised, right? Because you had Max Griffin by KO, I had Ramiz by submission. I think that's the way it's going to go. One of the two things are going to happen. Absolutely, I almost want to bet the house on that.
Yes, I feel your energy. I feel you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we're talking about like that Gustavo Lopez Anthony Burchank could be one of the fights of the night. Um, you would have to be hard pressed to not consider what this third fight of the card, right? We've got Eduardo Garagori, right? Again, who sweats a 13-1 record, 94th featherweight in the world, and he's going up against the damage Darren Elkins, who sweats a 24-9 record, number 24th featherweight in the world. And my goodness, I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I was there at UFC 209 when Darren Elkins had that phenomenal, like literally career making performance against Mirsad Bektik, right? Was there at the behest of the current Lights Out Extreme Fighting bantamweight champion, the Warrior Morales, right? So with that all being
Mhm.
said, I was there at the T-Mobile Arena when that was happening, and Mirsad Bektik was beating, I mean, literally beating Darren Elkins from pillar to post. That was exactly what was happening. He was a bloody mess. It was a pulp. It was actually unnerving at times, like about how
Mhm.
much damage that Darren Elkins was sustaining. Right? You these were
Mhm.
the things that you worried about his long term health. You know the
Mhm.
ramifications of
Mhm.
such. But in that, I mean, literally seconds left in that round, he hit. I mean, you kind of start to see this kind of momentum shift, and he actually ends up KOing Mirsad Bektik, right? And Joe Rogan talks
Mhm.
about it, probably the
Mhm.
most eloquent that I've ever heard. I mean, you literally heard Darren Elkins' soul in that fight.
Mhm.
In that
Mhm.
fight, when he let out
Mhm.
that, "Rrr," and I was in the cheap. I
Mhm.
mean, I was in the cheapies. I heard that,
Mhm.
like from the cage.
Mhm.
We're talking like hundreds of feet and a decline, right? And I could hear Darren Elkins probably, and I'm deaf. I'm also like
Mhm.
52% hearing loss since 2003. I'm deaf, and I
Mhm.
heard Darren Elkins that night. So I'd be hard pressed not to pick against the damage, Darren Elkins.
Yes, yes. I'm not gonna argue that. I mean, the terror of a man that can take everything you've got and keep moving forward with the same persistence. That might be so terrifying. I'm just not sure that this fella, this young fella, what's his name, Eduardo Garagori, even though he is 13-1 or 12-1 or whatever it is, I don't think he's seen this kind of ferocity yet. And this is gonna be a baptism by blood. This one is gonna be all Aaron Elkins either taking a severe beating or being extremely dominant. There is no middle ground in this particular matchup. Either Eduardo is going to figure him out right away and toe tag him, or Darren Elkin is going to chase him down and maul him
Mhm.
and absolutely destroy him. Now, what is the probability of Eduardo uh, toe tagging Darren Elkins? I don't know. I don't know. But it's a lot lower than Darren Elkins not toe tagging him. You know what I'm saying? So because I don't know Eduardo very much and I like his record, I'm gonna bring this one to a possible Darren Elkins by decision.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
give him
I
decision.
I like that. I like that. And this is absolutely something that, I mean, Darren Elkins has to win. This is a must win scenario for him because he is coming off of four straight losses. Now,
Yeah,
I will tell you that the losses that he has, right, are against top level talent, right?
yeah.
Nate
Mm-hmm.
Landwehr, he is somebody that Dana White and the UFC brass are absolutely putting stock in. 100%. Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Hall, one of the most like
Mm-hmm.
crazy to figure out, hard to figure out. I mean, the reason why we haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Hall, in recent times is because nobody wants to fight Ryan Hall
Mm-hmm.
because he will like ankle lock or ankle pick you 9 ways to Sunday. You're omoplotted out, and again, in terms of his ranking in the UFC and the kind of pecking order, he's not that far ahead where it would actually
Mm-hmm.
make sense, and you could actually get
Mm-hmm.
bodily harm, imposed on you with one of his
Mm-hmm.
array of submissions, right? Then you got
Mm-hmm.
Ricardo Lamas, the recently retired, the bully Ricardo Lamas, right? He loses by
Mm-hmm.
ground and pound, right? But I mean, that goes all the way to the very third round, the last round, you know. And my goodness, prior to the Lamas fight, he loses via decision to the current reigning champion, Alexander Volkanovski. So again,
Mm-hmm.
he's had like a tough go, right? And I think at least in my estimation, the reason why Darren Elkins is there is because of that Mursad Bektik performance, right? Reason why,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people would have gotten like, three and outs and they're out of the UFC. This is an
Mm-hmm.
entertaining fighter, but I think he knows like this is one that he has to win. There's no
Mm-hmm.
justification of him staying in the UFC if he loses this
Mm-hmm.
one. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, this is also a sentimental favorite, right? It is absolutely being in that
Mm-hmm.
T-Mobile Arena plus this, like it is absolutely a sentimental favorite. I'm going damage,
Mm-hmm.
team damage.
Yeah, hey, yeah, and I feel you, man. And unfortunately, there are no easy fights in the UFC because everybody that the UFC is scooping up is top level. You know what I'm saying? Top level. They got so much to choose from. Like everyone alludes to, it's somewhat of a monopoly. And when you own most of the property in monopoly, you dictate the pace of everything, and that's what's going on. So I can pick and choose the greatest fighters in the world that I want, and that's what's going on. So if they happen to choose you, you already know these people are top level. And Darren Elkins, uh, he's so talented, but yet you just can't get past those top dudes that are dynamic in nature. So to me, he's somewhat of a gatekeeper. If this
Yeah,
young man can beat Darren Elkins, he puts himself in very good position to make a run for the belt.
I agree. I agree. So I don't, and this is a hell of a jump. I mean, obviously, we don't know what the UFC rankings look like, but at least on Tapology, Darren Elkins sits, pretty at number 24 with Eduardo Garagori sitting at number 94th.
Mm-hmm,
So almost, he's a top
mm-hmm,
100 fighter in his weight class, but not that, not in the top 25 where Elkins is. So, I mean, he leapfrogs a litany of competition in terms of the MMA lithosphere in that featherweight division by doing this. So I mean,
mm-hmm.
this is a really good test for both of them. But yeah, dude, I got Elkins. I got Elkins. He's gonna be
Yeah,
Cinderella
got
man.
to, got to. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
now, now, oh my gosh! In terms of heavy
I mean,
hitters, we have.
the fact that he's
Oh, good.
so. Oh.
You were
No, I
saying?
was saying the fact that Darren Elkins is such a terrifying individual. I don't know how Eduardo is gonna take that. I'm looking forward to see how he handles it.
I absolutely do. And again, um, Garagori, he's scary. I mean, the fights that he's had, even pre UFC. I mean, he's a finisher. He can do it all: punches, kicks,
Mm-hmm,
submissions. He can do it all. He is a complete like that 13-1. It's not. It's not for naught, and it's not because of bumps. So it is. I like. I cannot
mm-hmm,
wait. I think this one again will be one of the fights of the night for sure.
mm-hmm. Most definitely, I agree, 100%.
Now, going up in weight, we have in the heavyweight contest, we have Marcos Huguero de Lima, who's 17 and 6, 17 6 and 1 out of Brazil. right? And he goes up against a former champion in another organization, sporting a flawless 12-0 record, Alexander
Mhm.
King Kong Romanov. And holy hell, like this is woo, buddy. I mean, obviously we saw what King Kong can do. Um, I mean, I think rookie Martinez was actually brought in as a lamb to the slaughter to that was a showcase fight if there ever was one. For King Kong, geez, like it almost looked like they were in a different sport, right? But Pezao, Marcos Rogero de Lima, right, trains out of American Top Team. He was on the undercard of
He's
Danny
out.
Cormier. Yeah, he's he. I mean, this is this is fun. This is so fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in terms of who you got in this one, what say you,
Hmm.
Voodoo Maximus?
First of all, this is gonna be chaos because both fighters throw major bombs. Power, equivalent power in both hands of both opponent. Each one clearly 265 and above. Clearly, knockout ratio out the yin yang for Pizao. However, however, his opponent is a strong grappler. King Kong is a strong grappler. When a man names himself King Kong, you already understand. When he names himself after an ape, and you understand the power of this ape, he's trying to tell you something. He's trying to tell you something. Not only does he have bombs in his hands, he's got phenomenal wrestling slash grappling as well. Peace
Yes.
out. Peace out. Even though he's Brazilian, I don't believe he's ready for this type of wrestling, which we're gonna see a lot of. You will see flashes of bombs away, but then he's gonna
Yes.
close the distance. He's gonna close the distance, put him on a fence, and put him there and try and suffocate him. And this is what we're gonna see. But then the periods in which they throw heavy bombs, it's gonna be pretty exciting. However, I'm giving this one uh, 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 to King Kong because he has more tools in his bag of tricks. He has more tools. He has more ways of winning. Pizarro, however, is an exciting fighter, but I only see knockouts with his hands. I don't see anything else. So therefore, I'm going with the wrestler slash puncher, King Kong.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's yeah, 100%. I think this is a showcase fight again for King Kong. Now, not to say that UFC is putting some showcase fights on, but this, by all intents and purposes, if we play even the most adequate MMA math, right? If we bring in Scott Steiner to kind of break this damn fight down, even he would agree. Uh, you know, this is a they got no chance to sacrifice Samoa Joe. So there you go. So we've got King Kong, Alexander Romanov for the win, probably by KO. Like this is going to be
Yeah,
chaos.
yeah, yeah. Some terrible, terrible ground and pound I foresee.
Yes, as we saw in that Roki fight, that Roki Martinez fight. And Shaman Steve
Mm-hmm.
says, "Evening, gentlemen. Evening, Shaman Steve. Thank you for your friendship and support. You are one of the good ones. I mean, not one of the good ones. That sounds so, but you are a great man. You are one of the good ones. So I don't know where the hell that came from. I must have been watching like some of the politics stuff, and I need to stop."
What's up, Shaman Steve? How you doing, man? How you holding up, Shaman Steve? Shout outs, bruh.
The powerful Shaman Steve. And again, that is some guy. That's a guy who, um, one of my friends, as her son unfortunately had acute myeloid leukemia, still battling it, but he was shaving his head. Shaman Steve hit me up in the DMs and like, yo, what can I do? And we did it, and we all shaved our heads in solidarity with young Isaac. And again, this is somebody who, when you talk about being there for people and being there for his community, that is exactly, as you know, of Voodoo Maximus. He is exactly that. So, Shaman Steve, thank you for being a part of our community.
That's right, man. That's right. That's right.
Absolutely appreciate that. We appreciate you,
That's
good
right.
sir. Good sir. So again, in that heavyweight contest, we've got King Kong Romanov. Um, Man, I can't wait to see what. Like, I almost want to book the fight after. Like, what does Alexander Romanov do after even this fight? Once I want to see Alexander Romanov. Kind of almost do like what Derek Lewis did, to, like, slim down and make a real kind of run for the title. Like, that's what I see in Romanov.
Yeah. Of course, of course. He's got very good size. His height is about not Kevin, Velasquez. What's his name? Velasquez.
Kane
What's his first
Velasquez.
name? Kane. Yeah, I called him Kevin. Kane Velasquez. He's about the same size, but he's got a little bit more body fat. He's got the wrestling like Kane. He's got the wrestling like Kane, and he's got power in his hands. Now I'm not sure what his cardio is like. If he's got good cardio to go along with that, he'll be able to beat anyone in the heavyweight division.
No, agree. I agree, and that's the kind of thing about it, right? And as we're seeing, especially as the top 5 or 10 in the heavyweight division. It's probably more athletic than we've ever seen any heavyweight combat sport athlete, short of Ali, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, and Ali was a smaller heavyweight, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and even you go back to Jack Johnson, he was the Galveston Giant, but Jack
Hmm.
Johnson, well, he was a normal dude. He was like 6 foot. Right,
Hmm.
but in the
Hmm.
time period, he was a giant because most people
Hmm.
were, maybe 5 feet or less. So
Hmm.
that's not less. Like, they're average about 5 feet, right? So, it's just crazy because we're going to have to see. In terms of skill set, before heavyweights would just be like those sluggers, those like ham hock fisted, like meat hook, type human being. But as we saw with like Frank Mir, as we see with Fabricio Verdum, they're avid, the heavyweight division, has avid, submission specialists, has, ardent catch wrestlers in Josh
Hmm.
Barnett. So
Hmm.
it's, again, it's got to get your wits about him. But obviously, we've got Francis Ngannou, who will knock your head off of your neck
Hmm. Hmm.
unceremoniously. So it's just cool, like everything. You got Overeem lurking in the shadows. Like, Walt Harris is still there, even though the loss to Overeem. It's just like it. The level of competition has never been more bright and like more crazy, more stacked.
Yes, yes. And stack is always a fantastic thing because endless matchup, endless matchup, but yet top of the line competition always. See, this is what boxing is missing. We have all these phenomenal fighters, but they're all like spread out on their own island, fighting like no names. You know what I mean? If boxing wants to rejuvenate themselves, put these fighters together. Put these fighters together, man. I mean, boxing host a major fight every 6 months, right? Put all these dudes together, man. Put them together, let them fight. Let's see what's going on. Forget all this inflated records and all that nonsense. You know what I mean? Boxing is a sweet science. I still like boxing. I would never turn down an MMA matchup at the lowest level for boxing, but I mean, I still watch boxing because it is one of the tools of MMA, and it's a major tool. To have great hands in MMA is an excellent asset, but yet there's some adaptation that must be applied to the boxing when you bring it into MMA. That's a whole nother story. But long story short, I like boxing, and I still watch boxing. Like I saw Inoue this past weekend, Gervonta. I'm watching two fights at the same time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Both knockouts, by the way. They're excellent techniques in boxing that can cross over into MMA that can link hand and feet together. You know what I'm saying? So boxing is fantastic, but then when it comes to serving the folks, serving the fans, we're not getting the fights we want to see, man. These guys are fighting who? I don't know these people that they're fighting. But yeah, I don't see the names that I do know fighting each other. This is a problem. And this is why every year more and more people are coming into MMA.
No, 100%. And I love that you pointed that out. And in terms of boxing's place, not just not just as a sport, but like a cultural kind of um, activity, for the viewing audience, right? And in any combat sport, right? In any combat sport, you could always tell how the overall sport is doing on how much attention the heavyweights are. That happens in pro wrestling, that happens in MMA, that happens in boxing, it happens in all combat sports. I mean, bare knuckle, same thing, right? Joey Beltran, he's killing it over there, and there's more eyes on bare knuckle. And not to disparage any of the other, lower weight classes, because it's part of the show. But again, if you're building a show, you want lighter, faster, and when you get to that heavyweight, you want what heavyweights are going to be. So, and obviously, boxing is right now more talked about than it's ever been in the last couple of years, because who do we have at heavyweight? We actually have four, right? It's not just a Mike Tyson or a Lennox Lewis. We have four like cross cultural phenomenons in Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Andy Ruiz, right? So there's that right there. That's just like the top four in the world, and that kind of trickles down to the rest of the top 10. So it's an exciting time for all combat sports, because the heavyweight divisions in all combat sports have never been better in all of the companies. Yeah. Hey, there he is. He's back.
Yeah, yeah. I can't apologize enough for Spectrum cable. Unfortunately, Spectrum is all I have out here. They won't give me. I mean, there are no competition. They have dominated this particular market, and I'm stuck with them. And then all this freezing and all that continues because I'm stuck with Spectrum.
Well, even a Spectrum out Gucci Voodoo Maximus is better than a lot of folks. So absolutely, but I have the same thing. Look no further than the According to Woods podcast episode with Josh Barnett, and we too have Spectrum, and it's the only thing going there. So we feel your pain, Voodoo, and we stand in solidarity with you. Fuck Spectrum. Yes, and
Uh,
Shaman says, Steve says, scary, crazy group, 100%. And Javante Tank Davis with an uppercut. Holy hell! I mean, it's weird because like I actually just now I'm seeing on my timeline, my YouTube digest, the countdowns for all of the fight. It's, whatever. So I'm seeing it in retrospect, and my goodness, I mean, like his name escapes me. The other gentleman, the Mexican fellow, but I mean, I he tugged at my heartstrings. Like being a son of immigrants and everything, and I was just like, and he's living the good life and here in LA, and his family's well and everything, and this Tank just came in and spoiled the whole fucking narrative. Man, but you know, shout out to Tank because that was an incredible performance. And again, he's under the tutelage of one of the all-time greats. I don't care about how you feel about him in terms of his personal life or social media presence.
mhm,
I think we
mhm,
actually got into it on According to Woods with Fred Kirby of the Keyboard
mhm,
Warriors minutes
mhm,
ago, literally. But I mean, what he has accomplished and been able to accomplish, is incredible. It's immeasurable. And then the fact that he is able to help Javante Davis in his path, that's almost like, Captain Lou Albano, taking the charge of Jimmy Snuka, or, like that thing, somebody that has seen it and done it all and is able to kind of give back, who can explain to Javante Davis what he's going to experience in his career than one Floyd Mayweather. So I think
That's
it's
right.
amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, 100%. Well, hey, there you go. Shaman Steve says 100% as well. Yeah, 100%, man. Hey, this isn't about the man's personal life. This is about the man's skill in the battlefield. His skill while he's on the battlefield. This is all. That's all we are talking about. First of all, none of us know this guy in his personal life. So who are you to to say something about him. Who are you? Who are you? Like Rambo says, who are you? Who are you? So we're not gonna make any comment about what he's doing in his personal life. Same goes with John Jones as well. Same thing. We don't know. We don't know this guy. We don't know what he goes through. However, his skills in the octagon is flawless, just like Floyd. Flawless, flawless, fatality. Every time you see him, he's always winning. Both gentlemen know how to win, and they win frequently, and that cannot be taken away because of where he likes to hang out or whatever outside outlier, whatever to interrupt with what's going on here. That stays out there. This is what we're focused on. So these gentlemen deserve ultimate respect in when it comes to their skill in their sport. Can't deny them that. You can't take it away.
No, 100%. And Shaman Steve, thank you for asking us. How's Isaac? He's fighting. He's absolutely fighting. And shout out to the Gomez family for just keeping it together. Obviously, it's so unfortunate when these things happen, but again, with a family like that, that are together and fighting tooth and nail together to defeat this thing. Shout out to them. And I mean, this is a fight podcast, but Isaac Gomez, you, good sir, are a fighter, and you're 15 years of age, a fight
Mm,
in which a lot of us haven't seen. So, again,
mm,
shout out to you and everybody that's going through some sort of physical kind of impairment or disease and everything. Find the fight in you. We're all fighters, but find the fight in you. And if we could kind of harness that power that we have to you, that's what we're doing tonight. It's like
that's
that
right.
Dusty Rhodes promo. My hand is touching your hand, and we're gonna get through this high times blues
That's
together.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
100%. And his picture is on my altar. I think about him every day. And
Mm,
we'll get some updates for you, Shaman Steve.
no
Absolutely,
doubt.
and we thank you for that. And in terms of Javante Davis, absolutely, Floyd is teaching him well. So that is it. It's an incredible time to be a combat sports fan, a fan of
Hmm.
all things, and the accessibility being there. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, you're watching the Bellator fights. There's like a 49er game. I didn't even know that was going to happen, but I have got Prime and it just showed up in the timeline. Like, if you're a fan of everything or anything, this is the time for you. So, kudos to you and the times that we're living in.
Mm, that's right. That's right. Most indeed.
Absolutely.
Most
So,
indeed.
we're
Who
going
do we have
down.
next?
We're going down in weight, right? We're going into the 185-pound division, the middleweight division, where we have the 12-2 Trevin Giles against the 7-2 Bevon Lewis, right? The problem Trevin
Mhm.
Giles is the number 38th middleweight ranked middleweight according to Tapology in the world
Mhm.
against Bevon's 46th ranking. And I love Devon Lewis's moniker. He is the extraordinary gentleman, and that I love.
Mhm.
Right, just like Curtis Curtis Molunder. Right, the fact that you could turn it. Yes, I'm I'm a mixed martial arts, like I mean berserker. Right, but I'm also a sharp dressed man, and I'm doing the Chris Adams, William Regal kind of studious kind of deal, and absolutely, Shaman Steve says martial arts is a tool for enlightenment. Absolutely, I 100%. And to see a litany of people do so well in their lives because of combat sports, that's a powerful thing.
Most indeed. Most indeed. Yes, yes. The problem. Trevin Giles, the problem. He's back. He's
Mm-hmm.
back. And he's fighting, like you said, Bevon, like Devon Dudley.
Yes.
Bevon Lewis, though. He's fighting Bevon Lewis. Uh, I was just checking, and the problem, Giles, has only lost by rear naked choke. Back to back rear naked choke. And his opponent, earlier in his career, has lost to a new rear naked choke as well. But neither one of them do the submission game. They don't play the submission game, which is fantastic for the fans. Now, when you have two individuals this powerful, this big, this fast, and there isn't going to be much grappling, understand someone's going to get knocked out. Someone's going to get knocked out. Now, we have the problem 12 and 2, 6 foot, 185 pounds, 74-inch, 41 in the legs. But his opponent has a 79-inch reach. Oh my goodness. He's 6'3". He's even taller. He's even taller. But he's 8 and 2, less experience. Now, is there going to be a problem here? We have a Lewis with a 50% knockout ratio and Giles with a 42% knockout ratio. But he's got a 42% submission ratio. So he's seen some submission, but those submission more than likely came from possibly disabling the opponent and then jumping in and taking a submission to finish it. So now we have a fella in Bevan Lewis, 50% decision, no submission. So this particular type of individual, you already know that he spends most of his time doing wrestling defense because he prefers to stand and strike. 0 submission, 0. So, but 50% knockout ratio, 50% decision. So he either wins or he goes to the decision. This particular match, I see Giles going for the takedown when the striking gets tough, because I believe it's gonna get tough. When you have a 79-inch reach advantage, the jab is your primary weapon. And if Mr. Lewis sticks to the jab to set up everything he does, the jab to the front kick to keep Giles back and to let him know this is how long I am, so stay back there. If he's able to execute what I am saying right now, then the roundhouse kicks to the head and to the legs will start to open up. But first, he must start right down the middle, kick him in the stomach, front kicks to the stomach, and then go to the legs and the head, right? But the jab is constant. The jab is never ending. If he can do that, I believe he can beat Mr. Giles quite easily, actually, even though he has less experience. It's not that difficult to beat a guy like Giles. You just got to outstrike him, punching in bunches. You know what I'm saying? And if Bevan does that, he wins. So I'm going with Bevan to win this one, even though the problem is standing across the cage from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shaman Steve says a savage and a gentleman. I agree 100%. And that is something that you, good sir, Voodoo Maximus, ex- extrapolate. That's I was looking for an X word, but you exude. That's what I was going to go over. You exude that very well. An educator in many forms of your life. So I too will actually pick the extraordinary gentleman, Bevan. Um, yeah, no, 100%. Like this,
Mr.
I think,
Lewis.
yeah, Bevan Lewis presents an interesting problem for the problem. So I think the problem is actually going to get his problem's going to probably get solved, but I mean, it's not to the behest of him. It's going to be to the behest of the extraordinary gentleman. So I got Bevan Lewis all the way. I want to say 3rd round KO.
I'm not even going to argue with that. Mr. Giles was going to have to do something really, really terrible to be knocked out. But either what you said, 3rd round KO, or decision win for Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, absolutely. And exemplify. Thank you, Shaman Steve. That's exactly. See, Shaman Steve is the best. He knows all things. That's exactly what I was going for. So thank you, Shaman Steve, for helping me dig myself out of that hole. Uh, but I mean, one hole that we are going to get into, right, is Georgia, not the state of Georgia. We're not talking about, peach cobbler here. We're talking about the country of Georgia, the number 30th ranked featherweight in the world, sporting an 11-2 record. It's Giga Chikadze, and he's going up against the 7-2 Jamie Simmons, right? He's number 8th ranked featherweight in the U.S. Midwest, right? The Afro Samurai against Giga, which sounds like almost like a glitch, like the ninja Giga Chikadze against the Afro Samurai. This is fun, just in terms
Mm-hmm.
of nicknames itself. Like this is fun. Um, but what do we got? I mean, obviously, when we're looking at the Afro Samurai, he's coming off of 1, 2, 3. Holy crap! I know exactly who this is, right? So uh, obviously he won against Nick Spina back at Inner Strength MMA 18 back in 2019. I mean, that was a first round
Mm-hmm.
KO in 36 seconds, right? Then he had another
Mm-hmm.
1 minute and 4 second KO against Morgan Stickinger at Pure FC 16. That was actually almost exactly a year ago in 2019, December. And then he
Mm-hmm.
basically fights for Cage Aggression 28 in the Midwest. And he does that, oh, just a few months. Yeah, that was like the last month. Last month, he won by rear naked choke, and
Mm-hmm.
the round two, 1 minute and 37 seconds in round two, in Cage Aggression 28, and that is one of the stellar organizations in the Midwest. So actually, the Chicago area,
Mm-hmm.
between Illinois
Mm-hmm.
and Wisconsin. So I mean, that's a that's a really good prospect. But obviously, the Afro Samurai is making his debut versus Chickadee. The Ninja, he has wins over. Holy hell! I mean, we're talking about at Gladiator Challenge. He beat C.J. Baines. He beat
Mm-hmm.
Damian Manzanares at Gladiator Challenge.
Manzanares.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Manzanares. Brandon Davis in his UFC debut, he won a split
Mm-hmm.
decision. Beat the pretty boy, our friend Jamal Emmers, by split decision
Mm-hmm.
earlier this
Mm-hmm.
year in March. He beat
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rivera by
Mm-hmm.
unanimous decision, and then his most recent win actually last month, much like Jamie Simmons. He fought last month, but
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Simmons was on the regional circuit where Giga was actually facing somebody in the UFC, as he's done in the last few outings, and he
Mm-hmm.
gets a unanimous decision over Omar Morales, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is a really evenly matched contest. Like this, I mean, the numbers they may say it's different. There's a few more fights. What, four more fights that uh, Jiga has had
Mm-hmm.
versus Jamie Simmons? But I mean,
Yes.
theoretically speaking, this is this is pretty evenly matched. So, what is
Yes.
your take?
Yes. This is pretty evenly matched when you look at it. However, when you dig a little bit deeper, then you see a little subtle difference. Now, Jamie Simmons, he's been on the original circuit. You know what I mean? He hasn't. This is his first hurrah in the UFC. Okay, but then you look at Jigga. Even though everything's kind of similar, or it's very similar. Let's just start with his last loss. His last loss was to Austin Springer, right, back in
Good.
2018. So he had multiple losses. But one thing in reviewing his record, one thing that I'm noticing here is ways of winning. I see liver kicks, KO, punches, retire. I'm seeing all this, and I'm like, I'm seeing glory, 27, 32, 33, 33, 37. You know what happens. Not just anybody goes and fights in glory kickboxing. Not you're gonna get your skull knocked off if you go to glory and think you're just gonna go over there and no, it doesn't happen that way. Only the real strikers go to glory. The real strikers. People who are completely comfortable annihilating and destroying. Those are the kind of people who go to glory. You understand? They're ready to shin your face off, kick your head with their shins, and split it open like a coconut. This is the kind of people you're looking at. This is the level of competition that's coming for the newcomer, Jamie Simmons. So from 2018, he's yet to lose. He's on like a 5, 6, 7, 8 fight win streak. That means he's gotten down the takedown defense, which is going to be Jamie Simmons' only prayer in this particular matchup. On the other side is Jigga with way too much striking experience, and I just don't see Jamie taking him down. He hasn't faced the same level of competition Jigga has faced around the world. You know what I'm saying? He's very experienced. He's seen it. He's seen a lot, and Jamie is gonna need a prayer from God, a special knockout that Jigga didn't see for Jigga to lose this match. The odds are just stacked heavily when it comes to striking experience. And the last time he's lost to 2018, are you serious? I don't see Jigga losing this one, man. 60% knockout ratio, 10% submission. He's not losing this one to Jamie Simmons. Jamie's gonna come get some very, very good experience, and then when he comes back again, he might have a chance with his next opponent. But against this particular guy, Chikadze is not losing.
So how does it go if
I
Jigga
see a
wins?
stoppage. I see a stoppage. He's a scientist, so he's not gonna rush in and brawl. He's a scientist. He's a dynamic striker. He's gonna fence him. He's gonna use his thin fencing sword and just stick him to death with those jabs and crosses and front kicks and roundhouse kicks. And beautiful striking is what you're gonna see from Jigga. Beautiful striking. Think about a kickboxer. Think about how swift they are. Now he's not just kickboxing. He's allowed to use the elbow. Come on, man. Knees, those are open to him now. So understand, somebody's gonna bleed in this particular matchup, and his name starts with a J.
Yeah, I mean, you are not wrong. I'm going with you on this one. I mean, you're not just the again so masterfully that you kind of boiled it boiled everything all down. But I mean, this is exactly it. I almost want to feel like you should be in Jigga's corner because I think this is going to play out exactly. Or maybe you jumped into the DeLorean before the show and went to Saturday, knew what was going down, and then came back here and were like, "Yo, just to show out." Either way, you are right. So, so yeah, I mean, Giga for the win. That's a consensus pick.
Yeah, that one is gonna be a highlight tape. Someone's gonna rack up good footage for their highlight tape.
Yes, it will. Yeah, this is a highlight making performance. So, kudos to both men. But this is going to be fun, right? Now, I am so excited. Or as in the words of Borat, I saw a sight. I saw a sight
Yeah.
because this fight coming up in the women's strawweight division, we have former UFC title contender Claudia Gadelia against Zion Yan, right? This one is fun because this is the number fifth strawweight in the world, ranked strawweight in the world, sporting an 18-4 record, is Gadelia against the number ninth ranked strawweight in the world in Miss Yan, right? This
Mm-hmm.
one is incredible because in terms of when you look at Claudia Gadelia's record, obviously she's there for a reason, right? Obviously fought. I mean, she's in there with Adriana Vieira. She fought her in Shudo, Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Henrica Tuber- Tubukirio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ayaka Hamasaki in Invicta. I mean, she's been everywhere. Her only loss was that title fight against. Well, I mean, her only title fights are either two champions, right? In
Mm-hmm.
Joanna Jonjędrzejczyk, which she
Mm-hmm.
lost two
Twice.
times to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Jessica Andrade, who
Mm-hmm.
again is a former champion, that
Mm-hmm.
obviously got bested by Zhang Weili, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the wife of the current baddest, I mean, woman on the planet, the consensus goat for women's MMA, uh, one Amanda Nunes. Uh, she lost to Nina Arsenoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is obviously Amanda Nunes' his wife, and kudos to both of them because they have a newborn baby. So shout out to the champs.
Mm-hmm.
But my goodness, I mean, Claudia has beaten Ayaka Hamasaki. She's beaten Jessica Aguilar. She's beaten Courtney Casey. Carolina Kowalkiewicz.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Carla Esparza, a
Mm-hmm.
former. I mean, she was the first, both Invicta and UFC champion. You don't get
Mm-hmm.
to do first twice, but
Mm-hmm.
Carla Esparza did it. And Ronda Marcos, and then
Mm-hmm.
her most recent win was a split decision win over Angela Overkill Hill, which
Mm-hmm.
again, Angela Overkill Hill has looked the best that she has ever looked. But then again, you've got Nine, right? That's her nickname, Nine, Miss Yan, and she's got wins just in the UFC. We're just talking in the UFC, right? Make sure UFC debut against Kaylin Curran beats her by unanimous decision back in
Mm-hmm.
2017.
Mm-hmm.
Viviane Piera,
Mm-hmm.
right, who's looked pretty impressive in her outings in the UFC, but beat Viviane by unanimous decision. Beat Suyuri Kondo back in 2018 by unanimous
Mm-hmm.
decision.
Mm-hmm.
Beat on the undercard of the Henry Cejudo Marlon Moraes card, UFC
Mm-hmm.
238, beats Angelique Overkill Hill with a unanimous decision win, and beat Carolina Kowalkiewicz, much like Claudia Gadelia did,
Mm-hmm.
beat her by unanimous decision.
Mm-hmm.
So this fight is so fun. This will get. I think this one is going the distance, and my goodness, I think what we're gonna get in this 15 minutes is an all I like an unbridled war between these two. I mean, a consummate mixed martial artist that just happens to be female. I think this one is gonna be a slugger. I mean, we saw in the LFA 94 title fight, the strawweight title fight. This that was a war. That was a pre-Halloween, a Halloween Eve war, right? And we're gonna see much the same in this fight, Nine versus Claudia. So
Mm-hmm.
who you got?
Well, this particular match, I see it as polar opposite. So if Claudia wins, it was because she was completely dominant on the ground. And if Yan Xiaonan wins, it was because she was extremely dominant with her hands because she's a great boxer. If you've watched her fight, you know she likes to piece people up like a
Mm-hmm.
scientist, like a surgeon, like a dentist. You know what I mean? She's got a PhD in ass whooping. She's got great
Yes.
hands. Yeah, she's got great hands. Uh, um, her takedown defense, I don't know. It's okay. Her takedown defense is okay. But the problem here is I'm not sure if she's strong enough to fend off Claudia Gagea's takedown attempts. Is she fast enough to evade before she gets grabbed? This is the question that needs to be answered because I do not see Claudia standing with her and try and trade on the feet with her. I think Claudia's gonna go for that takedown as soon as possible. Otherwise, she's gonna look stupid and foolish because Jan's got great hands. The hand speed is beautiful. The combinations that comes out of her brain is ridiculous. So if it stays on the feet, the longer it stays on the feet, the more Claudia's face is gonna get mangled. And Claudia, she if you follow her on Instagram, she's one of those beauty type model fighter slash model Instagram model type female. So she's gonna want to keep the face looking, you know what I mean? And for her to do that, she's gotta take it to the ground and make it nasty. She's gotta out grapple the Chinese. This is what she has to do. And if she doesn't do that, she won't be on Instagram for a few days. That's a guarantee. Now, who do we pick? Who do we pick as the winner? It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'm going with the Chinese in this one. I'm going with Yan. Why not? Yan Zhao. I'm going with her.
Man, yeah. I mean, you pose pretty interesting arguments, and all of it true. So I'm actually going to go the other way, and I'll go with Claudia Godelia. Now, the funny thing about Claudia, right, in terms of like the Instagram model and whatever, right?
Mhm.
She actually didn't inhabit that part of her personality until her English and promos got better, and then after the Joanna fights. That Joanna, the first one was almost like Betch Correa and Ronda Rousey, right? Like, and in terms of like the jaw jacking, right? So, yeah, this. Whew, my goodness, yeah, I've got Claudia, but I mean, I think this one could go either way. And this fight is fun, right? Because I mean, this fight card is fun because there are a lot of
Mhm.
fighters, right? And one would even say even the main event, right? That most of the pop culture
Mhm.
lexicon don't know the names, right? But as we've seen
Yes.
in
Yes.
past UFC fight nights, right? And I think this one will definitely be right up there with any of the ones that have happened during COVID. But
Mhm. Mhm.
the fight nights have actually been better and more entertaining and have more social media buzz about it than the actual UFC
Mhm.
pay-per-views do. So again, if you are
Mhm.
on the fence about getting ESPN Plus, fuck it, get it. Just get it. Just pay the
Mhm.
$5. That's it. $5 and you get like all the UFC fight nights, all the 30 for 30s. Damn, those are good. Those are fucking great. So again,
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
And hey, people at ESPN, Mickey Mouse and the Disney Corporation, hey, send us Voodoo in the Woods, the affiliate codes, man. So as we're sending people the millions and millions of our fans, hopefully you could reciprocate in kind. I'm just saying.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. 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 This matchup is gonna be quite interesting coming up.
This could be the
This
fight of the night. I mean, to be honest
Yeah.
with you, this could be the fight of the night. Like that right there. What we're gonna see, and again, Brazilians and Chinese, right? These are two cultures that don't give in. They give no quarter, right? They're not easy fights for anyone, right? Fighter or no fighter.
Mhm.
These are warrior type uh, uh, cultures, right? Traditions, right? And to be women fighters representing those, like again, I don't think this is going to be a boring fight. Like if you wanted to take a piss break, if you wanted to refill the beverage and the refreshments and shit, you should do it way before this fight card even happens because I think each one of these fights, I don't think there's going to be any sleepers on this one.
No, 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 not at all. Not at all. Even though both women are dominant in opposite techniques, it's gonna be extreme either way. It's either gonna be extreme standing dominance or extreme ground dominance. There is gonna be no middle ground in this particular matchup. So either way, the fans are gonna win.
Yes, so I can't wait to win. Again, this is again and again making us feel justified for getting that ESPN Plus. Shout out to the UFC for literally putting out some sort of content on that platform literally every weekend since July. So shout out to UFC and all of the fine competitors that have competed in those cards. So uh, our thanks to you. Now in the
Yes.
185-pound division, right? We have the Hurricane, uh, Ian Heinich, who's a 14
Mm-hmm.
and 3 record, right? He's the number 15th middleweight in the world in regards to topology, and he goes against the equally durable number 20th ranked middleweight in the world, sporting a 15 and 3 record, is Brendan All In Allen. Uh, this one again, and I, it I almost feel like I'm long in the tooth by saying this, but this
Mm-hmm.
this is another one of those where it's just like incredible. Obviously, Alan Allen trains at Rufus Ward Academy with Ralphion
Mm-hmm.
Stotts of Bellator,
Mm-hmm.
of the Pettis
Mm-hmm.
brothers in Bellator and
Mm-hmm.
UFC respectively, under the
Mm-hmm.
great Duke Rufus, right? One of
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
greatest American Muay Thai athletes that this country has ever exported
That's right.
worldwide,
That's
right?
right.
This one is gonna be crazy, like
Yes.
super crazy. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Ian Heinich, right, the Hurricane, he
Yes.
has wins over Antonio Carlos Jr. against his most recent win is obviously against Jared Mishart, who
Right.
yeah, that overhand right, was fucking phenomenal. We saw that. I mean, Michard get dropped in the very first round in about a minute and 15 seconds to do so, right?
Mhm.
But so that's the Hurricane, right? And he has earned every bit of that 14-3 record. But
Mhm.
when we look over across the octagon, one Brendan Allen 15-3. But
Mhm.
I mean, these are some notable names. We've got, I mean, obviously he's an LFA veteran, right? He's
Yep.
been in there with Eric Anders, right?
Yep.
Who has looked phenomenal since his ascension from the LFA to the UFC, right? I mean, that dude has no quit, right? He's fought at Valor Fighting. He's fought in the early incarnation of LFA in Legacy,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
World Fighting Championship, right? He was at the
Mhm.
very the third incarnation of LFA with wins over, I mean, John Kirk, wins over Sidney
Mhm.
Wheeler at Valor Fights, Matt Jones, Clovis Hancock, right, at Legacy
Mhm.
Fighting Championship 58, right? But
Mhm.
just, I mean, we're just looking at the past couple of wins, right?
Mhm.
The win streak that he's on. He is on a one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, seven fight winning
Yep.
streak,
Yep.
eight fight winning streak, right? With wins over somebody that we know pretty well,
7. Yep.
Moses Murrieta at LFA 61,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
He
Yes.
beats he beats Aaron Jeffrey on the Dana White's Contender Series last year,
Mhm.
um, with
Mhm.
via rear naked choke, right? Beats Kevin Holland by rear naked choke. Beats Tom
Mhm.
Breeze by ground and
Ground
pound
and
KO.
pound.
And then a unanimous decision win over Kyle Dawkins,
Count
who again,
Dawkins.
who's
Mhm.
look phenomenal. So
Mhm.
this one is crazy to pick. What say you,
Mhm.
Voodoo Maximus?
Wow, this like you said, this one is a crazy, crazy one. We have a Heinich who is a, a phenomenal striker. He comes from Factory X,
Yeah,
Muay Thai
Factory X.
X.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes from there, and you know how those boys get down. They're full of dynamic strikers, and if they're full of dynamic strikers, guess what? Elkins, Heinich, uh, has to be a dynamic striker because that's all he sees all day, every day, in and out. And then you have Brandon Allen, who's on the other side, also a dynamic striker who trains with dynamic strikers, but happens to be a jujitsu specialist on top of that. So he's got a strong jujitsu game behind him. So when he closes that distance, guess what? When he gets his hands on you, it's gonna be tough to get him off you. It's gonna cost a lot of energy. It's gonna be taxing to get him off of you. And we've seen this young man do battle. His jujitsu game is strong, like Snoop Dogg's pimp hand, very very strong. So Ian Heinich is not gonna get that. I don't feel he's gonna get off like we are accustomed to seeing him get off. I think he's gonna be fighting off a whole lot of jujitsu, mixed with some some flashes of dynamic striking from Brandon Allen. It's going to be a tough, tough war. This is going to be a war. It's going to be a war of attrition. Who's in better shape? Whoever's in better shape will dictate the winner because they're both equally great at what they do. Elkins, they're both, by the way, they're both complete fighters. It just so happens that Brandon Allen chooses to be offensive with jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is his main offensive weapon, even though he trains with kickboxers. So when he goes in there with Ian Heinich, he's accustomed to what Heinich is doing, and because he's accustomed to that, and he has a stronger jiu-jitsu game, I have to go with Brandon Allen in this one. I have to go with Brandon Allen to win this one, possibly by submission in the third round.
Yep. I agree. And again, I think it's going to take every bit of those 3 rounds allotted to them to dispatch of Ian Heinich because he is that type of fighter. He is
Hmm.
durable. He is gritty. He is, that slice of Americana, right? So
Hmm.
it's going to take every bit. of technical prowess and everything for Brendan Allen dispatch of Ian Heinisch. But when he
Mm-hmm.
does, that's going to probably be by the third round. It could even be a buzzer beater. You know,
Mm-hmm.
4 minutes and 50 of the very third round. Right, I almost see it happening. And
Yeah,
having this slick jujitsu. But even still, the way that it's going to go down is Brendan Allen all in is going to have his hand raised in victory when it's all said and done.
that's right. Because he's all in.
All in, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like AEW, that motherfucker's all in. So just saying, just saying. Now, now we're going down in weight. We've got some bantamweight action because we have Brazil's Raoni
Mm-hmm.
Barcelos. That's what I'm going
Mm-hmm.
with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he is a 15-1, right? And
Yep.
his most recent and notable win is a unanimous decision over, they say, Saeed, but it's literally, if you kind of subscribe to the American way of doing things, it's said Saeed or said Nurmagomedov, right? Um, Obviously won by a unanimous decision there. Unanimous decision on the undercard of the Rose Namajunas Jessica Andrade
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
fight at UFC 237. Win
Mm-hmm.
by ground and pound TKO, rear naked choke on against Chris Gutierrez
Mm-hmm.
on the Ultimate Fighter season
Mm-hmm.
28 finale. Uh, oh hell,
Mm-hmm.
I was there. That was the night right before Blake Troop and I got into
Mm-hmm.
car crash. So
Car accident. Mm-hmm.
yes, so I was
Mm-hmm.
there for that. That is the very same place that I got kicked out of the Palms Casino for interviewing Tim Means without credentials, and that's just what I do. So obviously that is Renault's kind of his resume, so to speak, right? And he's going in
Mm-hmm.
against Khalid Taha, right?
Mm-hmm.
13-2, the
Mm-hmm.
warrior, Khalid Taha,
The
representing Germany.
warrior.
Basically, he has a win over Boston Salmon,
Mm-hmm.
first round TKO back at the UFC 236, the undercard of the Max Holloway Dustin Poirier 2 fight
Mm-hmm.
last year in April.
Mm-hmm.
But that, other than that, he's pretty much either fought for Brave, a Combat Federation over in Bahrain,
Mm-hmm.
and Risen, right, where he's
Mm-hmm.
got wins over Kita Ishibayashi, and he won
Mm-hmm.
by first round win. I mean, first round knee and punches, right? And then at
Mm-hmm.
Brave, he actually won against Hamza Kuheji, 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 right? Kuheji, via rear naked choke, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and then he wins his first UFC fight over always tough, always game Boston Salmon, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one is going to be. I mean, I was almost questioning the placement of this fight because I actually thought that maybe the more kind of impactful fight would have been the Heinisch Brendan Allen fight
Mm-hmm.
that we just talked about. But after reading what I
Mm-hmm.
read here, I mean this one is gonna end pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What say you, Maximus?
These guys are a lot of firepower in these two gentlemen, these two 135ers. A lot of firepower. They're used to winning. They're used to winning, but one has lost more than the other, and that's Khalid Taha. He's had what, 3 losses or so,
Hmm.
and compared to Barcio's one loss,
Right.
Barcio seems to be uh when I look at the two, when I look at the two individuals, just looking at their picture, Barcio seems to me more of a hungrier individual. Fighting is what feeds him. Fighting is how he makes his living. You know what I mean? When I look at the last time he's lost to now, the win streak that he's on, fighting is all he's got, and he's not gonna let some German fella come all the way from Germany to Las Vegas and take that away from him. I see him. He is clearly a knockout artist. He's got 53% knockout ratio. in all of his fights. He's got a 13% submission. On the other hand, his opponent, 13-2, also has a 69% knockout ratio. Both of these fellas, they like to bang, they like to throw. But I think the Brazilian has an edge in on the ground. This is gonna be high intense striking. Uh, I don't know how dynamic the Brazilian is going to be, but at the same time, Khalid might edge him out in dynamic striking. Um, this is a hard one to pick. It's a hard one to pick, but I'm gonna go with the Brazilian anyway because he's used to winning. He's used to winning. I believe he has more ways of winning. I believe his hungry family will be the edge that he needs to edge out Khalid Taha, and I see him winning by decision.
No, I like that. I like that, but I'm actually going to disagree. And again, this we can disagree, and we're still
Hmm.
friends after it.
Of course.
Yeah, because I mean, I want to get that straight because obviously, and at the climate that we're in, most people don't understand that. But yes, you can disagree and be perfectly fine friends and love each other. So again, love each other. Just disagree. Respectfully disagree. Um, and yeah, shout out to Ty the Hurricane Bethley and his move to Orange County. I hope you're well, champ. Shout out to Ty. But I'm actually gonna go with Khalid Taha, and here's why. When you get to that elite kind of cluster of like flyweight and bantamweight, like I remember the first time that I saw like a bantamweight fight in the WEC, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And the flyweight, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, right? And my, around the same time, Bellator was doing the heavyweight, kind of tournament, right, under Bjorn Rebney, and you saw like
Hmm.
Eric Prindle and Ron Sparks, two, just like barrel chested, you know, big bulky son of a guns, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then by comparison, my first thought was just like in that flyweight bantamweight division was, oh my god, they move so fast. The first
Hmm.
time I saw
Hmm.
like Uncle Creepy, Ian McCall, or Cody Garbrandt, like they
Hmm.
just move so fast. Dominic Cruz, Uriah Faber, right? Mighty Mouse Johnson. I mean, a lot of people forget, Scott Jorgensen, like that was a crazy time. But again, in terms of the fighting prowess of those like lower weight classes, is
Hmm.
incredible, and that definitely holds true both in male MMA as well as women's MMA, right? So with that being
Hmm.
said, the fact that Khalid the Warrior Taha is knocking motherfuckers out in at 135 pounds, holy shit! Like first round
Hmm.
KOing motherfuckers,
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
true.
Oh my god! Do you know how like precise? Right? You try to swat a fly with your bare hand, right? With the fucking bare hand, right?
Yeah.
And the fly is buzzing and shit like that. That is like flyweights. That's like bantamweights, right? In the elite levels of Bellator and UFC and one championship. Like shit. I mean, this is just the UFC. I think some of the best, flyweights and bantamweights actually reside on the other side of the continent. In one, in Brave, in all of
Yes.
those, like 100%. And
Yes.
that's no disrespect to the Bellator flyweights. Both male and female, the UFC, the Invicta flyweights, and the women's persuasion. But fuck,
Hmm.
like the flyweight, the fact that they move so fast and their technique has to be so technically proficient in
Yep.
both
Yep.
striking and submission, right? Because they're so small, so like that they can wiggle out of shit that would dispatch. Like their leg locks have to be fucking on point. Their calf slicers, their arm bars have to be so on point.
Hmm.
And again, Khalid Taha
Yep.
is knocking motherfuckers out in the very first round. That is the
Yep. Yep.
outlier. To me, I think
Sure.
that's the outlier. I think that is the thing that's going
Hmm.
to make Khalid going to be victorious in this fight. Because again, his He might not be the most proficient grappler. That we can probably agree on, especially as what we've seen
Hmm.
in his career thus far. But
Hmm.
how precise his striking is. I mean, these are literally bliss. I mean, it's funny. He's a native of Germany because like that lower weight class in all of MMA, that shit is like blitzkrieging. That shit is Ramones
Hmm.
as fuck. That shit is the blitzkrieg bop. And if you can fucking hang
Hmm.
in, like, I mean, if you see a fucking, a 15-minute or a championship, 25-minute fucking flyweight or bantamweight fight, like fuck, and what you saw in those fights, in the proficiency
Yeah,
of the talent, fuck,
yeah,
man, that is like it's a
definitely.
masterclass. That shit is
Yes.
James Lipton. That shit is inside the actor's studio when it comes to MMA, right? So that's why I'm going with Khalid.
Yeah. No problem, no problem. And I see your argument, and it's a good argument. It's a good argument. But when you've been hungry for a long time, your entire life, and
Yeah,
now you finally get a taste of food, good food, organic food, you want to keep that coming. You want to keep that coming, and the probability of making mistakes are a lot less compared to someone who comes from a first world country who doesn't struggle as much. You know what I mean? These are the basic things that make a difference in fights most of the time. The desire to survive, the desire to feed one's family. These are the major driving forces in these fights sometimes. And when Barcelos is training with other hungry individuals, I think his knife gets sharpened a little bit sharper than the well off Khalid, first Mr. First World Khalid, Taha, Mr. Warrior. I mean, he's from
yeah.
Germany, man. Even in Germany, don't they have like free healthcare or something ridiculous like that?
I think
Right?
everywhere but the U.S. kind of
Yeah.
fucking has the free healthcare. Like fucking Eskimos, those motherfuckers are living to be 100
Yeah.
and shit like that. Antarctica, North Pole, whatever, fucking Northern Lights, whatever. Those motherfuckers are good. Dudes and gals and guys in Norway, right? They're fucking eating whale blubber and shit like that. They're fine. They're absolutely fine. And our asses over here, they got like not just like free healthcare, but like shit like fucking vacations and shit like that. And I mean, in France, like they fucking get mad at you if you fucking work more than 6 hours a fucking day. Like what the fuck? Like I want to be French. Fuck this. Jesus. I mean, I saw
Oh.
something. I think it might have been Vox. Oh no, it was actually the Washington Post, where
Mhm.
um, they were they were actually showing how other countries viewed our election processes here, and then like the overwhelming consensus by everybody from French to Germans to like people in Africa, like they're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, you guys aren't just able to vote? Like, what the fuck? Voter suppression and gerrymandering? That sounds like fucking cheating. Like, like straight out. Like, we are the most civilized, uncivilized country in the world. And then again, I'm Team USA, all it is. But I'm just saying, like, when people are like, "Oh, Texas or nothing else," or USA or nothing else. No, folks, there are places that have and can do it better. So, I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of good shit that we do.
Mhm.
100%. We didn't get to be a
Mhm.
superpower in less than 300 years without doing some shit right, right? But there are many of things that we can improve on. I mean, fuck. I mean, I can't remember the country, but if you have a child in this fucking country, no matter what your wealth or lack thereof, right? They give you a fucking box, right? A unisex box, right? Filled with everything you need from fucking diapers. And I'm not talking like shit diapers, like fucking, bargain basement, like diapers,
Name brand.
fucking formula, blankets, clothing for the first week of the baby. How do, uh, books on how to parent and shit like that. And then the fucking box, when you take all of that shit out, it doubles as a fucking crib. It doubles as a crib. Right? It's the fucking genius shit. They're on that fucking tiny house shit way before us. Like 100%. And again, you could be fucking Elon Musk, you could be fucking Joe whatever, and you get that fucking box. Yes,
Yeah.
Shaman Steve, I agree with you. We get the chef. And we're not talking about John Shaft, but fuck, there are definitely motherfuckers that have done it right before us. Damn right. So, with that all being said, um, yeah, man, I don't sleep on Taha is what I'm saying. It's don't sleep on Taha. But I loved what you said in terms of getting good food, good nutrition, being of a first world country, because we are now in talking about two people that are getting all of the meals that they can, all the optimal meals they can, because they're heavyweights. And that means we are at the co-main event of the evening. I had to do that because I get pretty loud with it. But we have former UFC champion Andre Arlovsky. 29-19 is his record. He is the number 16th heavyweight in the world. And he's going up against, and I hate this. I absolutely hate this. As a fight fan, I love this. But I have been such a fan, Voodoo, you know, such a fan of the bulldozer, Tanner Brozier, sporting a 19-6 1 record. I'm a fan of this dude, but I'm also a fan of Arlovsky and everything that he's done. And the fact that Arlovsky and um, Alistair Overeem, right, with all of the fights that they've been in, the amount, I mean, literally over a decade worth of top level experience the world over, right? And he's still the number 16th heavyweight. He's still in the fucking top 20. Like, he's still in the conversation. Like, that is incredible. But here's the crazy thing about Tanner Brozier, right? Tanner Brozier has had almost as many fights as Andrei Arlovsky, right? Almost as many. I mean, uh, Tanner Brozier has as many wins as Arlovsky has losses, right? But the fact
Losses.
that in just a few amount of years, right? Tanner Brozier started as a pro, I would say back in what is the date? Back in 2012, right? Back in 2012, he made his debut against Mike Kobe at Unified MMA 13, right? Probably in the native Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 8 years, he's almost garnered up the same amounts of wins and fight experience that Arlovsky has in literally almost 20 years. That is incredible. And that's just his career thus far. That's just his career thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Not to talk about the fucking wins that he's had it just the COVID period of the UFC alone, because he's looked phenomenal. He's had
Mm-hmm.
back to back wins against Felipe Lins, making in his basically ushering his 2020 right back in
Mm-hmm.
June with Felipe Lins, knocks him out first round, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
follows that up with a win over Rafael Pesosa, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just in July. So literally,
Mm-hmm.
he fought within a month's time and had TKO finishes in both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So holy hell, this is crazy.
This is crazy. This is crazy indeed. We have Andrei Arlovsky, former UFC champion. I mean, he had be the people he has been entertaining us since the 90s. He's been entertaining us since the 90s. He's been a great champion. He's go. He's come back. Now he's here. We've seen him train with all the very best gyms that there are out there. I don't know where he's at now. Maybe AKA or something like that. So we've seen him evolve, and I think Andrei Arlovsky has run his course. He is on his last legs. Even though he is still a top 10 fighter, I see him on that decline, and we have Boza on the other hand, who is coming up. We saw him shine in Abu Dhabi. Two fights in Abu Dhabi. We had no idea who this guy was, but yeah, he came out of nowhere and he's knocking folks out. That's what we need to focus on here. He's knocking folks out. Orlovsky, he's been knocked out many times, and it seems if he can land a good shot to anywhere in this region, he's gonna go to sleep. So one, he's older. Two, his legs are not as not what they used to be. Three,
Mhm.
he gets touched on the chin and he's going to sleep. You know what I mean? These are big human beings we're talking about. Even
Yeah.
though Orlovsky is got the height advantage and all that, I believe Bozer has the speed advantage and he's creeping in from underneath. Yeah, I think you're gonna see a replica of Gastelum versus Adesanya, that's sneaking in from underneath and throwing those overhands. I think that's gonna be the same idea that you're gonna see here. And I see Boza putting them to sleep no later than the third round. More than likely the second round.
Damn. Uh yeah. I and I hate it. I hate it because again,
Yeah.
this is one of the forefathers of elite heavyweight MMA.
Hmm.
In the Pitbull Andrei Arlovsky.
Hmm.
But yeah, you know, the fact that his chin has been tested by some of the not just the best in the world, but like literally the greatest of all time. When you look
Hmm.
at Arlovsky's record, holy hell! Like
Hmm.
I mean, he's been in there with everybody from what Fedor. Did that fight with Fedor materialize? I can't remember. I
Oh
want to say
yeah, yeah. He got knocked out by Fedor, man.
yeah,
He
he
tried to
got
do
knocked
this
up.
flying. Yeah, he tried to do some flying knee, and Fedor just clocked him in the air. He
Yeah,
went to sleep in the air.
yeah. That was that.
Yeah.
That was actually at that Affliction show in Anaheim.
Yes. Yes. That's it. That's the one.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Which, funny enough, the current president had had a major stake in that. Which, and I believe he might have attended that live.
Possibly.
Yes. So, but I mean, you got to look at the losses, right? And I think this is going to be, you know, the 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 this is what's going to be the difference, right? I mean,
Hmm.
literally loss to Rico Rodriguez, right? Rico Rodriguez, and that's how I believe he lost the
Title.
heavyweight title. Yeah, against Rico
Possibly.
Rodriguez,
Hmm.
right? That was
Or
back
Tim
in
Sylvia or
2000.
something like that.
Yeah, so that was back in 2001, right? This is 19 years ago. Gets KO'd round three by Rico Rodriguez, who is a, I mean,
Hmm.
theoretically speaking, is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, right? Loses
Hmm.
again,
Hmm.
back to back losses, but to again one of the all time greats in Pedro Hizo, right?
His
At
own.
UFC 36, right? I mean,
The leg
literally,
kicks on that guy, man. The leg kicks.
yes,
Oh my goodness.
yes, right? But I mean, and then goes on a win streak, beats Ian Freeman at UFC 40, beats Vladimir Matushenko at UFC
Hmm.
44, beats Wesley
Hmm.
Correa at UFC 47, beats Tim Sylvia at UFC 51 with an Achilles lock, right?
Hmm.
Beats Justin Eilers at UFC 53, beats Paul
Hmm.
Bunatello, UFC 55,
Montella.
but
Hmm.
then loses back to back against Tim Sylvia, right? At UFC 59 and UFC 61, but then goes on a hell of a run, right? From UFC 66, right? Marcio Cruz, Fabricio Verdum at UFC 70, Jacob Bryan, again, KO punches, uh, Ben Rothwell at Affliction
Hmm.
1 back in 2008.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, I mean, literally KO's Big Country Roy Nelson
Hmm.
at Elite XC in the second round, but then obviously loses to Fedor Emelianenko, loses at Strikeforce to Brett Rogers. And what is Brett Rogers doing now? Not much, right?
Jail.
Antonio, yeah, jail, right? Exactly. It's a horrible turn for that guy. Antonio Bigfoot Silva, right? Lost unanimous decision. Sergey
Hmm.
Kardakov lost
Hmm.
TKO. Like that's those losses. And again, those losses to like the elite of the elite, right? That
Mhm.
Fedor flying KO that happens, right? Got
Mhm.
KO'd by Overeem, got KO'd
Mhm.
by Stipe,
Mhm.
got choked out by Barnett, got
Mhm.
KO'd by Francis Ngannou.
Mhm.
Marcin Tybura even gets a win
Mhm.
over him at UFC Fight Night
Mhm. Tied
111.
to Ivasa. Mhm.
Yeah, Tai Tuivasa. I mean, that was
Mhm.
the beginning of the shoey. Fuck the
Mhm.
shoey.
Mhm.
Fuck the shoey. But that was the beginning of the shoey. The first person to really, the first big name to
Mhm.
fall prey to Tai Tuivasa was Andrei Arlovsky. And again,
Mhm.
Augustus Sakai, like
Mhm.
Georgina Rosenstruik got
Rosenstruck.
KO'd,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Mhm.
and then his most recent win against Felipe Lins, but I think
Mhm.
Tanner Bozier is going to be the final nail in the coffin
Yeah.
of the career, as well it should be,
Mhm.
of the Pitbull Andrei Arlovsky.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I don't. Again, he's still one of the top in the world, and yes, he could probably go to another organization and, you know, kind of rule the roost, so to speak,
Mhm.
for the next couple years.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Do we want to see that? No,
Mhm.
because there's got to be a life beyond fighting for Andrei Arlovsky, a life
Mhm.
beyond just him and his dog, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Just, a family of some sort, to be able to use his everything that he's earned, all of the titles that have, been synonymous through his career, all of it to mean something and transition to the next phase of his career. And again,
Mhm.
he's at the toughest division of all combat sports, in the heavyweight division, where
Mhm.
literally a KO can send you into another stratosphere, right? And
Yes.
that
Yes. Yes.
that rocket ship is called Francis Ngannou's hand, and he's again gotten dropped by that, much like Overeem. So again, it,
Yes.
you know, is he going to face Stipe? Is he? I mean, if John Jones goes to heavyweight, is Andrei Arlovsky going to stand in the way of that fight happening? Absolutely fucking not, right?
Mm.
So I think this is Andrei Arlovsky's swan song. I hope it's a decision and not a KO. But again, what we
Mhm.
have seen in Tanner Brosier's performances thus far,
Mhm.
that shit is gonna get KO'd like a motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. Even though Orlovsky has given so much of himself to us over the years, it's Tannenbozer's time. It's time for that torch to be passed. Andrei Orlovsky, for his entire career, he's fought top level competition, and it's time to start turning back the clock and going back and finding a new hobby. Um, it's about time for Tannenboza to take up that mantle and start running with it, man. It's time for the new dog to rise, and his name is Tannenboza.
Yeah, man. So this one is a bittersweet one because yes, we get to see Andrei Arlovsky enter that cage, but he's going to get out probably after smelting salts are administered or out on a stretcher because again, Tanner Bozier is that dude, and Andrei Arlovsky's chin is just not that good anymore.
Yeah, and you know what they say: two men enter, one man leave. Two men enter, one man leave.
Yeah, and the one leaving on his own uh, merit is definitely going to be the bulldozer Tanner Brozier. So shout out to
Mhm.
Tanner. I mean, that's almost a foregone conclusion, but got to respect the warrior spirit, that strong style warrior spirit of Andrei Arlovsky. So,
Mhm.
uh, but this is it's time. It's definitely time. But speaking of things of times in which we are at the main event of the evening. We have the number fourth ranked lightweight in the world, Thiago Santos, former UFC title contender, against and sporting a 21-7 record, and he's going up against the number three ranked
Mhm.
light heavyweight in the world, and he in himself is also a UFC title contender. And both of those title contenders or contention fights was on the same person, different time period, but that was of course John Jones, right? So
Mhm. Mhm.
th- this was is nuts. Now, in terms of stats, obviously Thiago Santos is coming off of a horrific series of injuries, right? In that John Jones fight, but many people said that
Mhm.
he would have won if not for those injuries. But he's got wins over. I mean, Jesus, Elias Thurdo, the great Nate Marquardt. He's been
Yes.
in there with Gerard Mousasi, a loss obviously. He's been in
Yes.
there with Uriah Hall. Uh, been in there with Ronnie Marks, Vicente Luque,
Yes.
right? He's been
Yes.
in there with, I mean, some of the greats. Loses to Eric Spicely, loses to
Mhm.
Gerard Mousasi. Now
Mhm.
Bellator World Heavyweight Champ. I mean, not heavyweight champion, but lightweight champion. Loses
Lightweight.
to Eric Spicely, but wins over Jack Marshman, right? With a wheel kick, a fucking wheel kick in the light heavyweight division, right? Wins over Jared Mishart, ground and pound KO. Win over Jack Hermanson, right?
Mhm.
First round TK. I mean, first round KO. Wins over Anthony Smith, where he fucking demolished Anthony Lionheart Smith, right?
Mhm.
Loses
Mhm.
to Dave Branch, right? But obviously Dave Branch, black belt in jiu-jitsu, former
Mhm.
World Series fight world champion, right?
Mhm.
Wins over Kevin Holland, wins over
Mhm.
Eric Anders, Jimmy Manoa, and the current reigning, defending light heavyweight champion, one Jan Blachowicz, right? But
Mhm.
on the other side of the octagon is a person that a lot of people kind of counted out, right? Glover Teixeira. This is a person by the admission of John Halkelman, who's held
Mhm.
pads for some of the craziest, scariest strikers there are. But
Mhm. Mhm.
Glover, Glover's striking is the scariest, right? The fact that
Mhm.
his
Mhm.
fists, his knuckles can penetrate, I mean, literally any heavy bag, every mitt,
Mhm.
even the most heavy of mitts, you could feel Glover's knuckles.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, so this is crazy.
Mhm.
And again, a lot of people have counted him out, especially after the losses, against Anthony Johnson, right, or Alexander
Mhm.
Gustafsson, or even Corey Anderson, who shout out to Corey Anderson was victorious tonight in his Bellator debut. But I mean, you gotta
Mhm.
he's beaten Jared Cannonier, right? He's beaten Carl Robertson, Ian Kutsilaba. You know, he even went to a draw at
Mhm.
quintet with Jake Shields, right? Just showing his jiu-jitsu prowess, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
another win,
Mhm.
a KO
Mhm.
win against Anthony Lionheart Smith in a rematch, right? But goes up
Mhm.
against
Mhm.
Thiago Santos. So, what say you, Voodoo Maximus?
I was gonna ask you that question. Who are you picking to win this particular matchup?
Okay, so I'm actually going to refer to Tapology itself because
Okay.
when you look at it, all right, and this is the picking section. And again, you guys, this is kind of fun that you could do. Tapology has a feature if you don't already know where you could pick on the fights, and it's literally every combat sports, whether it be jujitsu, whether it be MMA, whether it be kickboxing, whatever, it's all there on Typology, and you could actually challenge people. People
Mm.
such as myself, and I'm there at According to Woods. Go ahead and challenge my fight picks. But in terms of the table, uh, we a lot of people are saying that Thiago Santos has probably a 78% uh, chance of winning, and that win
Hmm.
probably happening by KO. Uh,
Interesting.
yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
Now they have
Interesting.
Glover Teixeira. He's at 22% a chance of winning. Obviously,
Mhm.
that's far less than Thiago Santos, but
Mhm.
pretty even split in terms of
Mm.
the kind of disparity, or not the
Mhm.
disparity, but the representation of those
Mhm.
things. He's
Mhm.
evenly matched in terms of whether it be KO,
Mhm.
submission, or maybe to a lesser extent, maybe about a 5% ratio of it going to a decision. But
Mm.
I mean, the consensus pick is it's either going to be uh, Santos KO. Like that's
Mm,
it's almost overwhelming.
mm. That's I can see why. I mean, when a man tattoos a hammer on his chest, he's letting you know that he's bringing Thor's power with him. You know what I mean? So he's got lightning in both hands. He is Thor. He knows it, but at the same time, he's standing on the he's standing across from Thanos. I mean, remember what Thanos did to the Incredible Hulk? He put major tips on him, man. Who ever knew that Thanos was a technical fighter? Who knew? Who knew? And that's what we have here in Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira is a classical boxing protege. He understands ferocity coming his way. He knows what to do. He's going to protect himself very well, and he's going to counter strike effectively. And when he sees the opportunity, Glover is the better grappler. He's going to go for the takedown, put him on the fence, and do what he does. Glover has been there with the best. Yeah, Thiago has been there with John Jones, but he didn't really fight the offensive John Jones. He fought a defensive John Jones. So we couldn't really see Thiago put in a position where he has to defend himself. I believe Glover is going to make him defend himself. Glover is going to bring that out of him. Glover is the one that's going to win this bout because of his 10 fight extra experience, the style that he brings to the table, and the knowledge. You cannot overlook just because Glover is great. Don't sleep on him. Do not sleep on Glover. The gray hair is just hair. Yes, he is 40, but he is an effective 40. He didn't make it to the UFC. We would have known Glover a lot earlier, but he didn't make it to the UFC due to visa issues. They wouldn't let him come into the United States. But now he's here and he's doing his thing. And Thiago also is here and he's doing his thing. But I do not feel Thiago is ready for the intellect of Glover Teixeira. Glover is a complete fighter. Thiago is a powerful individual. So when I have complete and power, I'm always going to go with complete because they can manage how the fight goes. And that's something that's very important in this sport. So I believe Glover Teixeira will either win it by unanimous decision or he gets a submission victory.
I like it. I absolutely like it. And I do think that that does happen. But the thing about it is, I personally had written Glover off after that fight with John Jones and what have you, and the amount of damage that he took.
Mm-hmm,
Right. So
mm-hmm,
with that all being said, I'm actually going to go with Santos.
mm-hmm.
Nah, you know what? Fuck it. No, I'm going Glover because even when I said it, I was almost making a case for Glover, and even before we started the show, and I looked at the fucking card in my mind's eye, it was Glover because he's much more of a complete fighter. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right, but does fucking Thiago Santos have a snowball's? I mean, more than a snowball's chance of winning and KOing the fuck out of Glover Teixeira? Absolutely,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
absolutely. Um, and I think the the fact that he didn't look so out of sorts, and again, if it not for him literally tearing every fucking ligament in his lower half of his body,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think we might have seen Thiago as a champ. So I think he's riding a way of confidence,
That's
right?
true.
Uh, but even still,
But
the confidence as well as the rehab that he's had to do in how many years? Shit, I mean,
mm-hmm,
the John Jones fight was what 2 years ago? I want to say, right?
mm-hmm. Something like that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, he's had a lot of time to kind of help figure things out. But even still, I
Mm-hmm,
just think Glover Teixeira is a more complete fighter. He can KO you. He can submit
mm-hmm,
you. He can go to a fucking dogfight in a war in a decision. So Glover, that's who I've got as well.
mm-hmm. And by the way, for all you wonderful people out there, like, share, and subscribe to this Voodoo in the Woods page. All right, let's keep it going.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, that's it. That's our kind of consensus pick. Now, Voodoo, is there anything before we go off air that kind of excites you in the MMA sphere, as they say?
Well, um, I'm in a good place right now because I mean every single week, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week, different events are occurring. It's like wow. I mean, just right now, I just watched Bellator and watched Corey Anderson do very very well against the striker and
Melvin
Melvin
Manu.
Manhoef. He, yeah, he just destroyed Melvin Manhoef, with his beautiful ground and pound game. And I mean, what else? What else could I possibly ask for? I'm getting excellent matchups, even in Bellator and ONE FC and so on and so forth. I mean, life is good. Life is good. In regards to MMA, life is good, fantastic, all is well. You know what I mean? Uh, Dana White is doing a phenomenal job, leading the frontier, leading the MMA world into the next frontier, I should say. And I mean, he put the game plan out for football, for basketball, boxing. He put the game plan out for everyone that they're following now. He should have put a patent on that. He should have put a patent on that. He should be getting paid right now. So shout outs go out to Dana White for doing this thing. You know what I'm saying? And I look forward to this weekend. I look forward to this weekend, and I look forward to breaking down what happened on Sunday. Like, share, and subscribe, y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell too while you're at it. Hit that bell. Hit that bell. Notification bell. Hit that bell.
Absolutely, because you will get notified every time Voodoo in the
Oh
Woods
yeah.
go ahead and does this spouts out verbal gems on the interwebs and in other regions of your mind and possibly other places. But for those who haven't already done so already, where can they find you, Voodoo Maximus, on
Oh,
social media?
you can find Voodoo Maximus everywhere. YouTube, uh, Instagram, Facebook page, Twitter, and except TikTok and all those other things. I don't mess with that. But Twitter, I mess with. What's that other one Shaman Steve uses? Periscope. Find me there too. So it is what it is. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And we will be back on Sunday with another tremendous episode of Voodoo Woods where we get to talk about what the fuck that happened on Saturday. So how about that?
That's right.
Like the good man said, like, share, and subscribe Voodoo in the Woods. And you guys, first and foremost, be good to yourselves and each other.